guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie West. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I am owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. Today I'm going to talk about a study. Now, I haven't read it outright. My job is to track it down now and to read more about it because I find it fascinating. But I was listening to a neuroscientist and kind of a thinker having a conversation around this particular study, and it coalesces really well with some things that I see clinically and some ideas I'm going to keep developing over time. They were talking about a mouse study or a rat study, and in a contained cage, if you put a rat in there, there's a very predictable sequence that happens because the rat has been put into a brand new environment that they have zero context for yet. They have zero experiential knowledge. So typically the very first step is there's this freeze. And basically what they're waiting for is some sort of antagonist or some sort of scary thing to happen. And they froze it and nothing happens. So the next thing that they'll do is they'll sniff. And what they're looking for is kind of a second level of data around danger. Am I okay? Is this okay? So if they freeze and nothing happens, and they smell and nothing comes across as dangerous, they start to trepidatiously explore. So they're looking around, they're moving slowly, very cautiously, and they're going to explore the space. Now, after they've gone through that, kind of doing the due diligence of threat appraisal, now they can start to take on other tasks, like I could forage for food, I could let my guard down and maybe rest, I could engage in play. So there's a lot going on as this animal explores new terrain and unfamiliar terrain. Now, the reason this really resonates with me is when I think of us going through seasons of adjustment or stepping towards change, I'm not saying that we have the same response systems as a mouse or a rat. I am saying we have processes that are actually pretty typical, normal, and each of us go through things in a systematic, in some sort of a intentional way, even if we're not aware of it. And often when I get to have longitudinal time in a client's life where I get to walk with them through several different transitions, we can put together a very coherent narrative of how they navigate change. And so you're going to have a little bit of that frustration, possibly. You're going to maybe lean into dialogue with other people saying, hey, can you give me what you know about this type of situation? Can you give me some wisdom? Can I just process with you? That's a very common strategy that people on the precipice of something new, that's a way they might work through some of the uncertainty or even the anxiety that shows up. Other people might shut down and feel really, really overwhelmed. Some of us are overfunctioners, so we put together the to-do list very, very quickly, and we go into kind of overdrive or some sort of hyper energy mode to handle all the things to get the things in place. But the point being, there are predictable processes. So the same way this mouse or this rodent goes into a new environment and goes from freeze to sniffing, to trepidatiously exploring, to letting their guard be down and starting to roam more freely and start to forage for food. It's good for us to understand that there's a process at play. It's normal, it's typically quite predictable. If I picked that rodent up and put them in the next terrarium, they're going to also go through at least a similar threat appraisal. Now, they might go through it quicker because there's now a historical reference for being plopped into this space with, zero familiarity. When they go to the second cage, there's a touch more familiarity, even though it's a brand new little terrarium for them. And that also goes into, why do some people make adjustments more quickly? Well, some people historically have had to adjust, and so they've practiced it. Some people just have more resources to lean into when there's a transition going on. Some people might have attachment styles that help them feel more sturdy even while they're uncertain. There's a lot of things that influence it from a human perspective, but the process piece is what I like to pull from this rodent experience, this rodent experiment rather, because there's something about their pattern that can help us understand that likely we have patterns too. For some of us, it's shut down. For others of us, it's, going into overdrive. For some of us, it's going to be internally processing and trying to figure out next steps on our own. For others, it's going to be leaning into community. And we all fall on continuums in those particular types of resourcing. So those are just some thoughts today around transitions. And we have processes typically. When I hang out with clients long-term especially, we put together a very coherent narrative, which is helpful. So when future transitions start to come towards us, we can better understand how to navigate them. We can anticipate what might show up. We won't know everything, but it comes from a place of learnedness, self-knowledge, experiential wisdom, and even that can help us feel okay, even when things around us aren't actually okay.